What's going on, everybody in Luqman Nation? Welcome to another episode of the People's Power Lunch in Luqman Nation with me, the People's Prophetess Jacquie Luqman. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today on this slightly cloudy, overcast Tuesday, July 5th in the Empire. Here in Washington, D.C., in the beating heart of the empire. It's cloudy. I hope it rains. My garden needs it very badly. It's starting to get that typical DC soupy humidity feeling. I'm going to have to start bringing a change of clothes for my daily walks because walking in that soup absolutely works up a big old disgusting, but very healthy and good for you sweat. So, yeah, thanks so much, you all, for joining me today. And I see that you all are filing into the cafeteria with your lunches. Good to see you all, Tacy, Sugar Booger 7, Comrade Kwame, Ricky Ryan, Afraid Not. I love that. Uh, very witty twist, a play on words. Miriam Francis, Devin Dean, Forrest Hinton. Haven't seen you in a minute, Forrest. Good to see you again. Kamari Dreamchild. Good to see you. John Kemper, Goddess Crew. Who else has joined in? Eugene Mason, Monty Nile, Nwadi Obi, Ariana Gladney. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Come on into the cafeteria. Go heat up your lunch. Grab a seat. Certainly, whew, we got through another celebration of the colonizers enjoying themselves, patting themselves on the back for putting one over on the world with this ridiculous experiment called the United Snakes of America, this white supremacist, capitalist, patriarchal, oligarchic system that they labeled democracy but never really was intended to be. Not for you, not for me, just for they, them, and theirs. I see you, Jairus Latrell. Good to see you. Velveteen 100, thank you so much for coming in. Howdy. Come on into the cafeteria, pull up a chair. And for me, 40J Blaze, what's going on? Peace. For me, I was happy to be able to go to Philadelphia to participate once again in the All Out for Mumia rally to free Mumia Abu Jamal that is held every year. And I just have to show you a picture of my new drip, fresh off the presses from Philadelphia from the protest. This is my off-white drip that is, accompanies my black t-shirt, Free Mamiya T. They ran out of pink ones before I could grab one, but, I'm definitely going to get another one. Shout out to all the comrades up in Philly who have been holding Mamiya down and the struggle to free all political prisoners up in Philadelphia down for decades and decades. It was so incredible to see Pam Africa. I'm always so excited to see her out and healthy. I got to spend some time with my loves, Yane Indigo, and got to spend some time with Russell Schultz, which was a great privilege. Got to spend some time with my comrade Ricky Bryan. Met some Philly peeps really quickly, and I wish I had an opportunity to talk to them in depth for some upcoming Mid-Atlantic Black Alliance for Peace, Mid-Atlantic region organizing that I am going to be spearheading. But Deandra held it down for Black Alliance for Peace Philly, representing excellently. It was good to see the comrade Mawusi up in Philly, and all of the fantastic people who stopped by. And I'm out there. Hot. It was hot out that joint, y'all. I love the sun. I do. But I don't know why it was extra, extra hot out in that piece Sunday, but it was. And it was, woo, I was smoking. But I appreciate everybody who stopped by, who said, "Oh my gosh, are you Jacquie Luqman?" And, that always, I don't know. I am so bad at I don't know how to receive that. So I just, I just receive it in the spirit that it is always given, that people are excited to meet me. And when Abdus was here, people would always say, "Oh my gosh, are you Luqman Nation?" And I would always try to push him up to the front, but he would always be like, "Nope, they want to talk to you." And he loved that. He just loved it. It tickled him so much. So it really, really warms my heart, and it really um, lets me know that I am carrying on my purpose, with continuing Luqman Nation, and so many folks stopping by and saying, not just, I love your show, but I appreciate that you talk about international issues, and I learned so much from you, and I really love that you bring the spiritual aspect, and we need more of that. Shout out to all of y'all, because you give me encouragement to keep on going, and it is the confirmation that I think the universe just sends my way to remind me that I'm on the right path, I'm walking the right path, my steps are moving in the right direction. So I thank y'all, I thank y'all, I thank y'all so very much. And yes, I'm going to cover more international stuff. I am going to talk a little bit more about revolutionary Christian ideology, because there is such a thing. There are socialist Christians. There is a very radical, revolutionary socialist interpretation of the gospel, especially since Creflo Dollar just came out. Not to say that Creflo is a socialist, but the fact, but just I'm just curious. Like, I'm just like mad curious. I have not even had a time to dig into what he said. Creflo Dollar repudiating this tithing that he and all these other prosperity gospel preachers have been beating people over the head with, and they have been becoming filthy, stinking, obscenely, unbiblically rich with over the past, I don't know how many years they've done it. Um, and it was just, it was just wild to hear that now Creflo Dollar, after he has made all this money off of manipulating people, telling them that, look, if you don't give, you won't be blessed. If you don't give, this ministry won't be blessed. The Jesus told me that you need to give so I could have a jet, so I could spread the gospel all over the world. And for him to come to the conclusion that, yeah, that's not biblical. I got to dig into that and see exactly what he says, because I really do want to talk about that. But I also am interested in what led him to that conclusion at this point. Um, but I got to dig more into it. But aside from that interesting thing, and I'm not holding my breath waiting for Creflo Dollar to give not a nary a dime back to his congregation. But there is a socialist radical revolutionary interpretation of the gospel that I do think we need to talk about, because I think that when we talk about internationalism, we can't divorce our internationalism or our desire for international solidarity, and I shouldn't say desire, our necessity for international solidarity. We cannot divorce that necessity for international solidarity with the reality that most of the people that we are going to be in solidarity with are also people of faith, because people in the global south countries, people on the continent, people around the world, a lot of people are people of faith, whether that is Christian, whether that is Judaism, whether that is Islam, whether it is some other type of. We have to um, reconcile our need for international solidarity with the fact that we are going to be organizing with people who are people of faith, and who may not share a spiritual worldview that we do, if we have one at all, and we need to be okay with that. I think this is where I want to go with this discussion. So I'm going to put some serious thought into it, and be come at it from a very serious perspective. I don't want to proselytize and preach to people. I don't want people to believe any particular thing. I'm not interested in people believing what other people believe, or the only thing I want people to come away from this discussion with, when whatever form it takes, is that we need to not exclude people of faith from our organizing, because that would exclude like a majority of the people in the world, right? So, all right, woo a whole lot more of you have come in, have brought your lunch in, and I hope that you have something really, really good to enjoy while we're chatting. Craig Barter, what's going on? Big Teal, Warren Register, Why Not Learn, Leah Boggs, Eric Berkeley, Sean M. Good to see you all. This is a good point, Sean. Creflo Dollar knows how to read the room. He knows if he keeps up with that, they're going to be going for his head, full stop. That's an interesting point, and I think that's true. And I think that, as a little bit of a side, I think the economic conditions of, what Ricky Ryan says all the time, that it's this austerity outside. It's austerity outside. It's austerity outside, y'all, for all of us. And who does it hit the most? Us. The most, the first, the worst. Us. So who are the people who are filling these churches? It's us, because we are looking for hope. We're still, and this is, I'm trying not to get too deep into it. I don't want to get too deep into this discussion right now. But there is a part of the prosperity gospel that I have never, ever liked. And there's a part of the interpretation of the gospel that I don't know if it's unique to the United States, or if it's unique to imperialist or colonial interpretations, that I absolutely abhor. I hate it. And that is the idea that it's okay. It's not only okay if you're poor and oppressed in this life, that the more, but the more poor and oppressed you are, then the more blessed you will be in heaven. I'm sorry, y'all. That's that right there. That no, it is not okay to be poor and oppressed in this life. The very Bible that people claim they get that from says it's not okay. That we're supposed to fight on behalf of the oppressed. We're supposed to fight for justice on behalf of the oppressed. That's what it says in the book. I'm not making it up. So if we're supposed to fight for justice on behalf of the oppressed, how in the world can it be okay for people to be oppressed in this life, and then for them to only get their reward in the next life? That ain't what it says, but okay. But also the idea that um, you don't get blessed unless you give. Well, that unless you give, well, that's ridiculous. That is not, that's not in the book either. That's really not. It's not there. So, um, so with Creflo Dollar and his prosperity gospel preaching over the past several decades that's made him a, millionaire, I'm sure, multimillionaire. He is reading the room of economics in this country because I'm sure those tithes and offerings and love offerings, I'm sure they've gone down precipitously over the past few years because it's austerity outside and people are broke. This country and its economy is circling the drain, and people from the bottom up are feeling it and have been feeling it first. So of course, I think in a way, to the comments point, in a way he's reading the room, and it's like he has to find a reason. He has to walk back what has made him rich, what he has been pumping into people's heads for decades, as he's never going to go as far as the gospel actually goes in condemning capitalism and capitalist greed. The gospel actually does that. This is why Jesus says it is harder for a rich man to enter the gates of heaven. Yeah, I'm sorry, it is harder for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the gates of heaven. Rich people can't get to heaven. A camel has a better chance of going through an eye of a needle than a rich man has of getting into heaven. Why? Because rich people don't want to give up their shit and share it. That's why. Because that proverb comes at the end of an encounter Jesus has with a rich man who comes to him as Jesus is talking to all the people. And I'm gonna move off this topic because if I don't, I'm gonna get carried away because I love talking about this stuff. Um, Jesus is talking to a bunch of people. Rich man comes up to him all excited. Teacher, teacher, what must I do to get into heaven? I have, given money to the poor. What must I do to get into heaven? What's going on, Ron Frazier, my friend, my comrade, my beloved? Good to see you. So the rich man comes to Jesus and says, "Teacher, teacher, what must I do to get into heaven?" Assuming that the rich man believes that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and all this kind of stuff. Jesus looks at the rich man and said, "Okay, well, it's nice that you've given some things to the poor. But if you want to get into heaven, sell everything you have. Give everything to the poor. Then pick up my cross and follow me." And what happened? The rich man put on a sad face. Oh, turned away, sad, resigned to the fact that he wasn't going to get into heaven. Why? Because that greedy mug did not want to do what the Savior, what the messenger of God told him was how you get into heaven. So that's what that parable means. It comes from a real world example of how rich people act in relation to their possessions and other people who are not rich like them. So this is why these people with these prosperity gospel messages have always had it wrong. They always been lying. And I swear, if we believers would just read the damn book, if we would just read it and study it ourselves to show ourselves approved like the book tells us to, and not believe these false preachers who are soundly condemned, and I think it's judges, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be having this conversation about Creflo and rich people. But as it were, according to the words of Jesus Christ, all these rich pastors and televangelists and evangelicals and bishops and missionaries and folks that have a title next to their name, and they are making money off of the kingdom and the people in the kingdom, specifically the people in the kingdom, according to Jesus. And all these rich people in this country and every other country in the world, according to Jesus, they ain't gonna see heaven because they have not sold everything they have amassed and given it all to the poor. And in doing so, very interestingly, since we did just, since some people in this country did just observe their little holiday of independence, in doing so, if all the rich people in this country actually did that, in doing so, they would actually redeem the nation. Go! Like fire shot up in my bones. Come on now. These people are always talking about pray for the nation, pray for God's blessings, pray for. No, you don't need to pray. All you need to do is sell all your junk and give it to all the poor people. So there are no longer any poor people. So there are no longer any homeless people. Make sure all public school is equally funded. So there are come. That's all you want to redeem the nation. Let go of your wealth and redistribute it to the poor, like Jesus said. But they ain't doing it, and that's why they going to hell. Anyway, the doors of the church are now open. Anyway, I'm going to have a more of a conversation, a more serious conversation about that kind of stuff in a future show. I'm going to prepare. But you see, I get excited about that because I don't know everything there is to know about the Bible and the gospel, but I know what Jesus said and what he did, and what these folks are talking about. That ain't the same Jesus. If they were really following Jesus, we would actually be all right up in this piece. But anyway, so we were talking on the morning show this morning. Um, I had to laugh at this. Thanks, T. And see, if you did that with me, you know that I would redistribute those funds to all these organizations that I'm involved in who are doing this work. So your contributions would be safe with me because I would be responsible with them. But yeah, so on the morning show this morning, we were talking about social media posts, and how people, journalists, the media are making a big deal about this murderer's father's liking a tweet, um, um, supporting the Second Amendment. And I had argued, that alone, this man liking this tweet alone, does not indicate any particular thing. Now, I had also said that if there is other social media evidence, or evidence on social media, posts on social media from this dude up in Illinois. People keep saying it's in Chicago. Highland Park is not in Chicago. Highland Park is like 40 miles away from Chicago. It's not in Chicago. Jesus. Um, um, but this dude in Highland Park, who shot up the parade in Highland Park, does have a very prolific trail of violent and disturbing social media posts. That is an indication that something is wrong. And uh, of course, it seems that there was every indication that he was planning this, and people are calling for, see, this is another example of law enforcement not doing anything. And I think we have to be kind of careful about that, because I don't want to be like, tacitly or inadvertently giving law enforcement um, any kind of support in doing anything, for going after people for what they say, what they post on social media. I'm not cool with that, because a couple of things. Let me show you some examples of why I'm not cool with that because of what is happening with social media, and just very recently, and what people are posting on social media very recently. This is from just the first, and this is actually from the colony is the name of a town. Never heard of it before. Pretty sure I don't want to go there just by its name. Uh, this man, of course, it's in Texas, the colony, Texas. A 20-year-old man from this place called the colony has been arrested and charged with making terroristic threats against the Supreme Court. Um, Michael Deshaun Archambault tweeted that he was going to kill the justices after their decision in the Dobbs case overturning Roe versus Wade. He tweeted, I'm fitting to, I guess, kill everyone in the Supreme Court with my AK-47." That was the tweet. Um, the cops arrested him. This is Michael Archambault. The FBI, of course, got a hold of the tweet, issued a warrant. I guess the local they coordinated with the local cops, taken to the Denton County Jail. His bond is $25,000. That is one case that has actually happened from someone tweeting that they are going to commit violence against the Supreme Court. And I agree, absolutely true, Ricky. That was a stupid ass tweet to make. That don't and I said this morning, and I will say again, I remember back when the Innanets was even Skreets, when the Innanets didn't even have Skreets. Really, the internet is not even that old. The internet, I do remember life before the internet. I remember when AOL was a big deal, and people were warning that because you really can't erase your digital footprint, that what you put on social media, and at the time there really weren't even any social media sites, but it was when the internet became prolific, people were warning what you put on the internet is forever. And at the time, it was more about like personal information, risque pictures, that kind of things, the things people said in chat rooms and that type of thing. But now we can clearly see how the facade of free speech in this country is crumbling very, very fast. And really, it was a flimsy facade in the first place on several fronts, because there have been people who have been posting terroristic, violent threats against other people for years on the internet, on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, on chat rooms, everywhere. And not a whole lot was done about it. I'm thinking in particular about the recent January 6th commission hearing where the two Black election workers testified, and they talked about the thousands upon thousands of violent threats they received on the phone, on by text, and on social media. Now, if the feds could coordinate with the folks in Texas to snatch up Denton, to snatch up this guy, Archambault, for his dumbass tweet, how come nobody has snatched up any of those people who have done the exact same thing when it was directed at those two Black women? Were those two Black poll workers, election workers in Atlanta, were they not important as Supreme Court justices? Do their rights to be free of violent threats lodged against them via the internet, do they not enjoy a right to be free of that because they're not Supreme Court justices, or is it something else? Yeah. So, another case where this has happened very recently, as in, I think this week. No, I don't want to connect. Go away. Feds show up at the home of a North Texas woman, Texas be wilding out, of a North Texas woman who posted angry tweets after the Roe decision. This woman, and I hope, let's see if this is, let me magnify this so you can see. A federal agent and two police officers showed up to a North Texas woman's house on Thursday morning and warned her. They didn't arrest her, but they warned her to stop threatening the government on Twitter after she posted in anger over the Supreme Court decision overturning Roe versus Wade. They gave her a letter, her being Madeline Walker of Garland, Texas, came after she tweeted about burning government buildings down on the day the Supreme Court handed down its decision. She tweeted, "Burn every government building down right now, slaughter them all." Oh, yeah, the letter that was delivered to her by two police officers and a Department of Homeland Security special agent read that you are advised as of the date of this letter to cease and desist any conduct deemed harassing, threatening in nature when communicating to or about the federal government. Failure to comply with this request could result in the filing of criminal charges. Yeah. So, yes, don't post on social media your intent, even if you think it's a joke, to commit any act of anything unsavory, harmful, destructive, violent, whatever, against a person or against a government entity. Just don't do it. That does not, that warning does not eliminate the hypocrisy and the contradictions that are inherent in the actions of the government in their response to just this type of thing when the targets were us, right? Again, when I'm thinking of those two Black women election workers, they are agents of the federal government. They're kind of like the post office. If you mess with them, that's a federal offense. No angry letters, nobody showing up at any of those people's houses for messing with those women and interfering with them and their ability to do their job, threatening federal agents or none of that. None of that. And there have been, to my understanding, not the same kind or level of response to, as I said, all of the violent threats, threats of violence, violent jokes, and direct threats against people who were participating in the 2020 uprising against racist police terrorism all across this country. Um, I just find it's very interesting, don't you think? That all of a sudden, after the Democratic president with a Democratic Congress approved extra protections for the Supreme Court, that now the law enforcement agencies are going after folks who are responding angrily online in response to a conservative Supreme Court ruling that, of course, impacts everyone, but that, of course, folks who are not conservative are responding to. Do you see? Hmm. So there is no like logic to this, right? Because this, I think, the way law enforcement, federal law enforcement in particular, is responding to people's anger about these Supreme Court decisions, um, is, I think, indicative of the fascistic nature of this system, of this country, and what it always has been. This isn't, this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that all the stops will be, pulled out for going after the so-called left. And I'm not even convinced that a lot of these people are on the so-called left who are being targeted and who will be targeted by these kinds of actions by law enforcement into what is posted on social media. But we do know that this is how it usually works. This is how it has always worked. People on the left, radicals, anti-imperialists, anti-capitalists, black radicals in particular, are the ones who have been targeted in a country and have had our speech stifled, and we have been criminalized for merely calling out the truth about the white supremacist, patriarchal, uh, imperialist, capitalist, gun death cult that this country is. We've been punished and criminalized simply for saying that, for displaying facts. Um, just like, thank you, Ricky, for making that connection. Just like the backlash that's going to come from this January 6th investigation, all of these hearings, it's not going to be for, it's not going to be for law enforcement to clamp down on the extremely violent right wing extremists that planned and carried out that attempted insurrection. No, it's going to be used against us. We are going to be the ones who suffer the most. Our rights, what little few scintilla thread of rights to any kind of speech that we have, what's left going to be set on fire, and the ashes will be salted over, and that's we're the targets. We always have been. The dissenters of the empire have always been the targets. So now that you see how they are going to come at us with the full force of law enforcement coming to your, locking you up for what you post on social media, even if you think it was a joke, coming to your house with Department of Homeland Security with a cease and desist letter, for even if you think it was a joke or you didn't mean it. We need to govern ourselves accordingly. It has been fantastic to be able to share the amount of information that we are able to share on social media, and to expand political education to the level that we have, that I think previous generations had not been able to. And that is a good thing that we have social media and can use it as a tool. But we should never rely on any tool that, first of all, is not owned by us. Please understand, these social media companies, as much as I enjoy connecting with and hanging out with y'all on Facebook, Twitter, not so much. I do Twitter because I kind of have to. But Facebook, I like Facebook. Pictures, posts, dog posts, cat posts, general pet posts. I love seeing my, friends and their life. I love that kind of stuff. I do. Um, Facebook is not owned by us for us. So it's not developed for us. So it it is not going to serve our best interests. So we need to be smart in how we use it, what we use it for, but understand that that's the revolution is not going to be tweeted. Just like the revolution wasn't going to be televised, and it still isn't. The revolution isn't going to be tweeted. The revolution isn't going to be made viral on Facebook or Instagram. The revolution is going to come through the same kind of grassroots organizing that propelled every other revolution in the world to fruition. And that wasn't social media. People may have used social media to inform people of some things, but the grassroots organizing, the on the ground, the 10 toes to the ground work of organizing, that's done in person. That's done person to person, community to community, region to region. That's how that's done. So yes, I think we use social media as a tool, and I think we do have to use it as a tool, but we have to be smart in how we use it. And I'm talking to myself just like, I'm warning you. I have to be careful about what I post on social media, because sometimes I might respond to something that I think is a joke, but then the Facebook algorithm is like, oh no, that's a threat. You feel me? So yeah, we do have to start to take a moment before we throw something out there on social media, not to give censorship any power, but so that we don't trip ourselves up in reaching the goal of organizing that we need to reach. Mm. Oh, sorry. Ricky makes another great point. When we talk about organizational online discipline and security, we get called tanky cops. Like for real, I don't understand. Okay, can I be real with y'all? I really don't understand people in online culture. It's a very strange thing to me. Like there is supposed to I, like I'm supposed to just allow people to say any old kind of thing to me online, and that if I'm not supposed to block people because that's not fostering discourse, and I'm not supposed to mute people on Twitter because that's not fostering. If I would not let you sit up in my house and talk to me any old kind of way, why do you think I would let you do that online? That's ridiculous. And I had this conversation with a lefty friend who liked to post pictures of their guns online. and and they're like, yeah, we're for the Second Amendment, and I've got this, and I've got that, and this is my so and so, and this is all my that, this, and the third. And I'm like, I feel you. I'm not opposed to people exercising their alleged rights under the Second Amendment, but I don't think it's smart for us to be posting this kind of stuff online, because that kind of thing has never gone well for us. It has never gone well when we have tried to act like them, thinking that we have the same legal protection that they do, because we don't. And I was called, oh, you're acting like the empire, you're acting like a cop, and you're just a tanky, and you're like, okay. But when Facebook starts censoring you and your gun posts for, violating their community standards, and you don't see them doing the same thing with the conservative folks who have literally stockpiled guns and post about that all the time. I what oh, then you can't say anything because you will have been banned. And so I don't know what to say to people who have that kind of attitude where they ignore the history of um, the lack of First Amendment rights, alleged First Amendment rights that um, we have, and the history that proves that we do not have the same protection under these laws that them and theirs have, because these laws weren't written for us. So for these folks to believe that they can be out here on these streets, internet streets, and real life streets, all willy-nilly like everybody else can. It just lets me know how divorced they are from the actual history of revolutionary struggle in this country, and they just cosplaying revolution. They ain't even serious, because I don't know anybody who is really serious about self-defense. All of the people I know who are serious about self-defense, they ain't telling you shit about what they are working with. So yeah. Let me see what you all have to say. And stay tuned. 2:45 today. Uh, Comrade Kalanji Jamachanga has a dope interview in store. I cannot wait to be able to catch it. I'm going to have to catch it on the rerun, because obviously we'll be on live today when he is live with you. But please check that out. It will be so very fantastic. Yeah, Big Teal, this is you. You're just deniers of joy. Just crazy stuff. Mm. Let's see, don't we have people like the one who Dr. Ball had yesterday in the show who worked in digital? We should organize sessions with them. I'm going to check that out. And there are some alternative platforms, social media platforms, that are being developed. A comrade of ours in Pan African Community Action has developed one that would be good to check out, which is on secure servers, that I'm looking into moving some my content to also, because at some point we're going to have to move away from these social media platforms that the alphabet and big tech companies run, because they are all in collusion with the US intelligence apparatus. Every single one of them. They sell our data to third parties for profit. And they also collaborate with the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, all the alphabet intelligence agencies. They all do. Actually, I just answered that question. Yes, we are building platforms that we own. A comrade, I literally know someone who is doing that. Yes, and if you want to know about that, hit me up. I will connect you with them. And listen, here's the thing, diverse tribe. If there weren't platforms that are being built, then that is the opportunity that presents itself for us to build what we don't have. This is kind of what I see folks do sometimes, that it's like we criticize what we don't do, and because we don't know that there are options out there that we have created, and that's understandable, because we can't know everything. We don't know everything. But when you're in an organization with radical organizations, you kind of know a few other things, a few more things. But if you don't know that there are alternatives out there that we are developing, that we're building for ourselves, then maybe that's something that you should be working on. And that's kind of something. Actually, that's like the reason me and Mr. Luqman started Luqman Nation. That really is literally the reason we started this platform, Luqman Nation, was because we were sitting around watching the coverage of the lead up to the 2016 election, and we were like, they ain't talking about issues that matter to us, working class Black people. There are no places that, and we were like, oh, particularly Abdus, he was like, well, why don't we do it then? So we did. And that's why, that's what you know so that's what we do. And yeah, it kind of is. It really is that. And that is my response to every time someone criticizes um you know what what they don't see Black folks doing. My response is always, so what are you doing? That, I mean, that, and I feel like that needs to be our blanket response. I think it almost needs to be an automatic response when we have a criticism of what we think Black folks aren't doing, or if there is not enough of something that we should have. I think the very first thing we should be asking ourselves is, well, what am I doing? So it wasn't like personal, diverse tribe. That's how I conduct myself, because it's the first thing when I get into that mode of, man, I wish, we had more of, and I ask myself, oh, well, what am I doing to address that issue? And if I don't know how to address that issue, then I try to connect with people who do. But then, so now I have to ask Diverse Tribe, what organizations are you involved in that can support you in your efforts? Because we, again, and I got to wrap up pretty quickly. My late husband and I, we were involved in organizations previously, two in particular, where we started some initiatives that we were very excited about, that those folks that were very excited about, that they ended up not wanting to do a damn thing about. So they were playing, they were not. So you know what we did? We got the hell away from them people, and we got involved in some organizations with some people who were truly about it, about it. So who we absolutely surrounded ourselves with people who also, um, you know, sharpened us, challenged us to do more, but also provided us the support that we needed to continue to build on what it is that we thought we should be doing more of. So yeah, this is, I don't think you're a troll at all. I think this is exactly how we challenge each other to do better and to get more involved in radical organizing and organizations that actually do the work and support people who are doing the work. Kamal Hassan, welcome. Thank you so much for becoming a new member on Black Power Media here on YouTube. Thank you. Appreciate you. So, listen, as far as organizations are concerned, I'll tell you right at the top of my head, right in the DC area, Pan African Community Action. I'm a member of that organization. I'm also a member of the Black Alliance for Peace. I'm a new member of the Institute for Christian Socialists. What other organization do I belong to? I forget. I support so many different organizations. The Black is Back Coalition, the All African People's Revolutionary Party. I support them. As far as political parties are concerned, I support the Ujima People's Progress Party in Maryland. There are so many. I am an avid supporter of the Party for Socialism and Liberation, chapters all across the country. There are so many organizations out there for us to get plugged into, where we can take our ideas and get challenged and sharpened to do more stuff, to get really good, solid political education. Party for Socialism and Liberation School is mind-bogglingly good, just incredible. All African People's Revolutionary Party does the dope political education. Hoodcommunist.org for the constant, clear, radical analysis. I support Black Agenda Report for radical Black left reporting. These are the kinds of people and the kinds of organizations that I surround myself with, learn from, glean from, and get support from. We can't do this out here by ourselves. If we could, somebody would have done it already. And if it were easy, even in organization, it would have been done already. But it is not easy. It will require a lot of work. It will require international solidarity. It will require 10 toes on the ground, organizing face to face, idea sharpening, folks getting together, creating local, regional solutions, building power, all of that. Yes, all of that. It takes all of that and some more. But that's why it's called struggle. That is why it's called struggle. But if you dare to struggle, you dare to win. But if you don't bother to struggle, you don't deserve to win. That's what Chairman Fred Hampton said. I believe that. I live by that. And I hope this People's Power lunch was nutritious and delicious for you today. Um, it was good for me. I enjoyed myself. I always really love hanging out with you guys. I am not sure if I'm going to do one tomorrow. We'll see what the schedule kind of looks like. But certainly you will see me again on another People's Power lunch sometime this week. Until then, y'all be really good to yourselves. As always, a luta continua. The struggle continues. But Victoria acerta, victory is certain. Peace.